I was born and raised in Boulder, Colorado, but I call Pueblo, Colorado home because I've spent most of my years there, my formative years.
Yeah.
I was a dishwasher at my parents' Chinese restaurant, or Oriental restaurant, because it was more than Chinese. It was like Thai and Vietnamese and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was like one of the first of its kind in Pueblo, Colorado. And so people would gravitate towards it because it was like, they didn't have to go to Colorado Springs or Denver anymore. They could
Yep. So you did so your parents are from Cambodia?
Yep.
So are you first generation, second? Were you born in Cambodia or were you?
I was born here in Boulder, born in Boulder, but raised in Pueblo, and then moved out to Los Angeles, back to Pueblo, and then to Florida.
Cool. Okay.
So I'm all over the place.
So where are your parents now?
They're retired and they're out here now.
Oh, good. Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. So tell me a little bit about your family history. How did your family end up in Colorado if they were Cambodian? Yeah, tell me that story.
Well, they were escaping the Khmer Rouge back in the 70s and 80s, or 70s, because my sister, they escaped through from their own people, and they went through leach-filled swamps and barefoot. They were just teenagers, and my dad was tired of him and his best friend pretty much buried their guns underneath a palm tree or buried their guns.
Yeah.
Yep. So when I went the first two times with my dad, he just showed me where they buried the guns. Yep.
So why did they bury the guns?
Because they were tired of fighting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have siblings?
Just one sister.
Is she younger or older?
Older. She was born in Thailand at a refugee camp.
Oh, wow. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about that origin story? How, so how did... Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy.
Thanks. Thank you. So how did they, how did they decide, so your dad said, I'm done fighting, and was he married at that point?
Well, kind of with my mom, they met at a refugee camp, and then they had my sister. It was like a shotgun, wedding or nothing like that, honestly.
And they said, we're getting the hell out of Dodge and we're moving here.
Yep, and they made their way to Thailand. My sister was born, they made their way to the Philippines, and then they met their sponsors. And their sponsors have a pilot license.
Okay.
And they relocated everyone to Boulder, Colorado. And then around December 27th was when I was born. And my dad goes, I remember it was just a complete blizzard when you were born, and so it was hard to get around.
And so, what's the weather like in Cambodia?
Very humid and tropical. And you don't want to go there in the summertime, or else you'll get those heat bumps in the back of your neck because it's so hot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How many times have you been there?
3 times. Once in '93, once in 2002, and once in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, do your parents still do they still cook? Are they into cooking and doing? Yeah.
Just for us now, the family, but they don't do it as
they're burnt out. Do they get burnt out on cooking for all of Colorado?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about who you are and what you're doing. What's your life look like now? What are you all about?
Oh, stand-up comedy and journalism.
Okay.
I got my degree in journalism in CSU Pueblo. They have the best mass comm department, and so I needed a degree to graduate college, and it was the fastest way out because I was horrible at math and science. I didn't want to deal with that stuff. Yeah. And I already spent 7 years in college, so my parents were not happy with that.
No.
Yep. But the good thing was they didn't pay me from 9 years old to 16 or something around that part. And they go we feel bad for not paying you, so we'll just pay for your college instead.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yep. So that works out.
So journalism. So are you using your journalism degree right now?
For the longest, I did.
Yeah. So what kind of journalism are you doing?
I did when I started off, I was a concert journalist, so I would get paid to go to concerts out in Los Angeles.
Awesome! Oh my God, I forgot you have all these amazing stories. Okay, so tell me about that. Tell me about
Oh, the first time I ever covered a concert was because of my teacher, Professor Stefan, and she gave me credentials to cover this group called 303 that are based out of Fort Collins in Boulder. And they did a song with Katy Perry and stuff. They were kind of like a big deal back in Colorado.
Right.
And then I got to interview him, and then I was hooked, and I was like, I went out to Los Angeles because the reason why I picked mass comm as my degree was because there was a screenwriting class.
Okay.
And I went because I was like, I'd rather write movies and stuff in class instead of taking notes.
Right.
So I was like, I got to put this better to like something else. And so what got me to Los Angeles was my internship with Clive Barker.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Clive Barker. So,
Yep.
for those listeners who are like me and aren't into horror, tell us a little bit about Clive Barker.
He's the reason behind, like, he's a creator of like Hellraiser and Nightbreed, Lord of Illusions, Candyman, the original one. And then he wrote a lot of books, like Books of Blood and children's books from like The Thief of Always. He's just all over the place. Yeah.
Okay. So you got to do an internship with him. How did you land that?
There was a book called Mr. Be Gone. Someone reached out to me on MySpace and said, he's writing a new book. It's called Mr. Be Gone. It's about a demon that possesses a book while you're reading it.
Okay, a demon that possesses a book while you're reading it. Okay.
Yep. And so it's like, all right, that got my attention. So I didn't know Clive's name for like the longest time, not since like, Candyman, the movie that scared me for 6 years straight.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'll go to Barnes & Noble and read the first couple pages. And I got hooked.
Yeah.
And so I went to a doctor's appointment. I went back home. I said, Mom, Dad, I'm a broke college kid. I need to get this book.
Yeah.
And so they shelled out the $30 for me, and I went and bought the book in the Barnes & Noble in Pueblo. And I just couldn't put the book down. And then I was reading it, and it said, see that page moving on the other side of your book, or it's moving by itself? That's me causing it to move. And so I look over, and the page was moving by itself.
Wait. Oh, okay. Okay, so you're saying in the book, it said, see that page that's moving by itself? And then you looked over, and the actual page was moving by itself?
Yep. Nothing was causing it to move. No fan, no nothing. It was just nuts.
Okay. So what was going on?
You know how books, when you have them open and the pages just it bounces by itself.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And so
okay. So do you think it was something magical, or you think it was totally, natural explanation? What do you think?
A little bit of both, actually.
A little bit of both.
Yep.
Okay. So let's get into this part of it. Okay. So, Secrets of an Everyday Mystic, and I think I explained it to you at the festival the other day. So basically, what I'm looking for is, I have this belief, I went the whole spiritual route and, followed Ram Dass and all these amazing spiritual teachers, and I absolutely love all of that. However, I always have this feeling that it's not about praising the person on the stage as much as it is finding it within us. And that's all they're saying anyway. All the big teachers, all they're saying is find it within, right?
Yep.
And that's what mysticism is to find it within. So rather than, trying to interview a bunch of, famous mystics or whatever, I'm going to interview everyday mystics. And you are one of them. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, tell me about a transformative experience that has changed your life.
I guess just meeting Clive for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I reached out to him about an internship, my email went to England first, and then went to Beverly Hills. And then got to him, and he goes, yeah, just give me a couple dates. I was talking to his assistant.
Yeah.
Give us some dates, give us your resume, and it just had the Home Depot on it. And I'm like, all right, that's all I got. And plus the Chinese restaurant that I worked at. No film work, no literary, no nothing.
Yeah.
And so we planned a trip out there, and it was Friday the 13th at 4:30 p.m. It was scheduled for that date. And,
that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we go out there with my cousin, my parents. We all drove out there because the plane tickets were too expensive.
Right.
And so we go out there. He gives me this address, or the assistant gives me the address. And so I dropped off to my parents at the Beverly Hills Hotel Park or whatever. And I drove back up to the house, to the studio. Turns out that it wasn't the right place. Well, they said, we got to relocate this meeting.
Yeah.
And so we go to another place where all his paintings were had. And so he walked up the stairs, and I was shocked. you know. 'Cause I didn't expect to have him interview me himself. It was
Yeah,
just like,
right. You thought you were gonna have his people, right?
Yeah.
And it was him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that was like the transformative moment because I'm like, I'm just lighting up like a Christmas tree over here. Like, this is like my hero over here, you know. And so I was like nervous because I was like sweating and everything. And had my resume in hand, and you know, I called him Mr. Barker at first, and then he says, "Just call me Clive," you know.
Yeah.
And he asked me 3 questions, like, "What do you think? Like, why do you want to do this?" And I said, "Because I want to be just like you, like the books, the movies, the action figures, the comic books." And he goes, "The whole shebang." I'm like, "Yeah, the whole shebang." And then he goes, "What do your parents think?" I'm like, "Well, my dad's behind me 100%, and my mom's like a little sad because I'm like the baby of the family."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then. And the 3rd question was, did you come out here for business or pleasure? And I'm like, well, pleasure because I went to Disneyland and Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Business because I'm here with you.
Uh-huh.
And then he goes, all right, kid, you got the job. You just got to wait a year to get your internship. It was only 3 questions.
What?
Yeah. I thought it would be tougher. Yeah.
Okay, and how long did you work with him?
I started off with a summer internship, and then he asked me to come back on my last day of my summer internship to be his apprentice. So it was about 3 years after that.
Okay.
Total. But it was like the most wildest times for sure.
Tell me a little bit about what are your thoughts on magic and the divine and divinity. You know, every religion talks about divinity, and everybody's got a different name for it and a different face for it. And then there's this earth world where we're sitting here in this cafe drinking iced chai lattes, and so there's these 2 worlds. What are your thoughts on all that stuff?
I believe there's a higher being that's like above us. Like when I was like leaving for my summer internship by myself, like after visiting him for spring break, I was in New Mexico, like on the Colorado border, and making that 19-hour trek. And I was like, Lord, be my co-pilot through all this stuff, because I know it's like the city of angels. But there's also demons there too.
Yeah.
You know. Because like a lot of people go out there and like LA chews them up and spits them out.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that person.
Yeah.
So they pretty much guided me through the whole city of angels, you know, and I believe in that. And like now he's like, I'm not a religious person at all, but like you know, a lot of people say like they're more spiritual, and that's what I am. I don't go to church or nothing.
Yeah.
Because all the jokes that I say on stage is like, oh, probably, you know, I'm one step closer to hell because of all the things that I say on stage.
So tell me, like, you listened to the first podcast this summer. Tell me about, like, what are your perspectives? Because, like, I was telling Summer, like, in Judaism, that's my roots, is Judaism. So we don't really have a hell. We don't have an evil. But Clive Barker, I mean, like, there's this kind of this dark stuff, and Summer's the same way. She's into the horror and all of that dark stuff. So what is your thoughts on good and evil?
I think, you know, without one, the other one can't exist.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I've met some good people in my life, and I met some bad people in my life. It's just, you gotta trust your gut instinct and your heart to, like, stay away from the bad people and wish them luck, you know?
Yeah.
But I stick around with, like, I surround myself with good people, because, like, that's the only way I can get elevated, and I can lift them up, too, so.
Say that again?
So I can lift them up, too, you know? Like,
exactly.
like low tides or high tides raise all ships or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's all about, you know, that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are a comedian.
Yep.
How did you end up doing comedy?
Oh, Clive, I thank him a lot, because, like, I'd come to back to the studio after, like, my concert adventures and stuff.
Yeah.
Or, like, even if I was, like, you know, running errands for him, I'd run into, like, the most craziest things. And, like, he's usually, like, a homebody, so I'd always, like, report to him, like, what I went through and what I've seen. And so he goes, you come up with the funniest stories, you should try stand-up, you know? And so I'm like, all right, you know, he just promised me to try stand-up for the first time at a cafe, like an all-arts open mic.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did before I left LA. And so I remember I was so scared that I dressed up as my superhero alter ego, because I met, like, every one of the Wu-Tang Clan except for the Jizza. And Old Dirty Bastard, and so I asked, hey, what should I be for Halloween? And they're like, you should be Wu Man. And I'm like, well, that sounds like too much like a woman, you know, let's go with Wu Manchu, like Fu Manchu.
Right, exactly.
So I was like at his in his kitchen just cutting up fabric and making like the logos of the whole Wu-Tang Clan on the cape. And I got a match from this place called the Chit Chat Lounge, and I just dressed up from like Wu-Tang head to toe.
So give me a little bit of background on the Wu-Tang Clan, because I know nothing.
Oh.
Is it rap?
It is rap.
It's rap. Okay, give me a little bit of background.
Oh, they're like from like the early '90s, and like they have their own show now called American Saga on Hulu. If you want to know more about like details, and they have a 4-hour documentary on Showtime.
Okay.
But they were just like, my sister was the one that introduced me to the Wu-Tang Clan because she brought back home their one of their most popular albums that just celebrated 25 years. It's called Wu-Tang Forever. And after I heard a couple songs from that, I was just like a fan.
Yeah.
And then I had to like go back and listen to their other stuff, their earlier works. And so they're like a group of 9 guys pretty much, and they all have different voices, and you can tell which one's which. Because nowadays everyone sounds the same.
Right.
And so, but they all have their distinct voices, and they have their strengths and stuff. But man, there's like one's a science, like teaches science at like Ivy League colleges now, and so Method Man's an actor, and he's like everywhere, and RZA like makes movies. It's just an amazing group of guys.
And so you knew them. Like, it sounds like you were friends with them. You are friends with them, or yeah. So what's your connection to them?
By accident, like I went to the Method Man, Redman, and Ghostface Killah show at the House of Blues. Just not thinking anything of it, and that's like how I got to meet like everyone else. It caused like a chain reaction or a domino effect. And like I was head to toe Wu-Tang down, and the House of Blues thought I was working for the Wu-Tang Clan, and the Wu-Tang Clan thought I was working for the House of Blues. And so I go.
And you weren't working for either of them?
None of them. I was just a fan.
You're just a fan. That's awesome.
Yep. It's like some like Ghostface Killah and RZA just walk down the ramp like it's nothing. I say hello to them, It was so awkward, but it was so great. And then I bought a bunch of merchandise from Method Man and Redman and Ghostface, and they go, "Hey, you spent so much money here. Do you want to stay for the second show?" And I'm like, because there was 2 shows that day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have enough money. I spent all my money on you guys. It's like, don't worry, we'll get you a bracelet so you can come back and like as a VIP and just come hang out. So I go I get like pretty much full access to like all over the place, you know, and I'm just like, floating around like a butterfly, and like Cat Williams shows up out of nowhere. He throws money off the balcony and he offers me Dom Perignon, and I don't drink, so I just like declined him, and then after that I was waiting this is so LA. Like I was waiting for my car from valet, and some guy noticed me from like my really old shirt, and he goes, "Yeah, that's a really old shirt." He goes, "Yeah, they misspelled Albuquerque on the back," And he goes, "What are you doing out here? You don't sound like you're from California." I'm like, "I'm not. I'm from Colorado."
Yeah.
He goes, "I'm just doing an internship with Clive Barker." He's like, did the Hellraiser stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, you should totally take my number down." And because like my car just pulled up, I was in my car. He knocks on my window.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Sure." So we exchanged numbers. I had to do research at Clive's place, and I thought it was like just smoke and mirrors. That's all LA is,
Yeah.
So he hits me up, and I'm at Barnes & Noble doing research for Clive. And then in the background, I hear RZA's voice. I'm like, I know RZA's voice. This is real, And then he goes, "Let's plan a meeting. Let's bring RZA up to the studio and see if they meet and all that good stuff, and see what happens if we have Clive meet RZA."
Right.
So it's like because RZA was known for another group called Gravediggers, which was like a horrorcore rap group. And then, like, Clive was known for Hellraising, so it's like Hellraiser and Gravediggers, and they can meet in the middle, and I'm like the middle person. So they never got to meet, though, so I was bummed out.
Aww.
But I ended up spending 3 hours with the RZA, and then we just talked about everything from comic books to horror movies to everything else.
Tell me again who you hung out with. What was her name?
His name's the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan.
The RZA.
He's like the main guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a producer. He made all the beats that are like iconic.
So you are such a sweet, gentle, unassuming, humble guy. How did you get in this circle of amazing, powerful people?
I have no idea. It's just like, I guess I have that magnetic secret energy that everyone keeps telling me that I have. And I've never read the book or nothing. They just go, "You just have it."
The secret? The book, The Secret? Yeah. So what is it? What?
There's just people that gravitate towards me. I'm just like a walking bowl of sunshine. And like, I just can't help it.
I think it's you're gentle. You're just kind. You're just kind, and you're gentle, and Yeah. And okay, so so it's fascinating because, there's so many people who love to drop names, especially you lived in LA, and I'm guessing that's the culture in LA. It's like, you meet these people who just like, oh, I know so-and-so, 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 it's name dropping. But for you, it just like, it sounds like it just comes to you.
Yeah.
It's like, it comes to you. So okay, so let's say like people want to get more connected. What would you suggest for them?
Just put yourself out there and like get rid of the ego and smile, because like it'll cause people to smile.
Right.
And it's contagious.
Yeah.
And then now that I know that I can make people laugh, laughing is contagious.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so much better than like having like any other viruses or diseases or anything like that, because everything else is contagious too.
Right.
But as long as you can do the good side of being contagious, then you're on the right track of life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
And being a concert journalist didn't help either, because like I would get credentials to cover shows.
Yeah.
And like I'd be at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, which is like my favorite restaurant in LA. Mm-hmm. It's like where rock stars go,
Yeah.
Like Lemmy has his own statue from Motorhead there because he goes there a lot, or went there a lot when he was alive. And so it was just like it was just like the Hard Rock Cafe, but like more hardcore.
Yeah.
Like it's not the shiny glitzy and stuff that you see at the Hard Rock Cafe. You see like the underground version, and like it's like just random people show up like rock stars, and they'd much rather go to the Rainbow than the Hard Rock, even though their memorabilia is all over the place in both places.
Right.
But I would go there and open up an LA Weekly and circle, like, make sure it's like 2 weeks in advance and circle all the concerts that I want to go to.
Right.
And so I was tired of all like Ticketmaster, like doing all those charges and surcharges and service fees. And so I got in between the photo pit, or I got into the photo pit.
Yeah.
Like, and the audience was blocked off from me, and I could just run around and take photos of the bands and stuff and the artists. That was a dream job, and then at times they would tell me I can interview them before their show or after the show.
Right.
So it was like another way of meeting my favorite musicians.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome.
Awesome.
But,
okay, so tell me about comedy. Like, tell me. Tell me what is your line? The dirtiest.
Oh, the cleanest, dirtiest comic in Daytona Beach. But now it's like, it kind of like blew up to Jacksonville too.
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's good. Yeah.
That's
so how often do you do gigs?
I do mics like almost every night. But I have to travel because Palm Coast doesn't have a scene, or Flagler Beach doesn't have much of a scene. So I got to travel everywhere to do it.
Yeah.
But it's totally worth it. It's it teaches me that I can tour.
Yeah.
And I won't get exhausted from driving like 2 hours, whatever. But it's like, it's totally worth it. I prefer mics over shows, so there's no pressure.
Right.
And you can just have fun.
Right.
And like, just if I bomb, and I won't take it to heart.
Right. Right. So being a comic is really ballsy. I think of any kind of performance art, being a comic is. I think you have the more power than probably any other kind of performing arts in a way, because I don't know, there's something about comedy that is very raw. It's very it's performance at its rawest. I mean, would you say that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you can say anything you want, but like in Daytona, like we just don't like racist or political talk or homophobes. Like we just don't like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But if you can just like make fun of yourself being in like weird situations and taking your worst memories and sharing it and bearing your soul, it's like people love that stuff. Like, because they can tell like you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
And that you went through that stuff.
Yeah.
And if you can paint a picture and scar them for a little while, it makes it fun.
Okay, so what is the secret of a good comic?
Just be truthful and honest.
Yeah.
Learn how to network.
Yeah.
Talk to people.
Right.
They say don't be a jerk, but there's another word for
Yeah.
and be friendly and because like I've noticed like the people that are successful either in horror or comedy, they're usually the nicest ones.
Yeah.
And the people that have like the bad attitude, they don't get it far.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you connect with people? What's the secret to connecting on the stage? Like when do you bomb? Where's the when you are in that vein? I call it the vein where you're connected with your audience and they're laughing and Where's the magic juice in it? Where's the magic sauce for that? What is that?
Oh, well, my friends are the ones that pointed out for me because I'm just like telling my life story on stage, but they know what my jokes are because they've seen me perform so many times.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting to watch people's reactions.
Yeah.
Because it's like very horrifying. It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but in the comedy form. It just starts off nice and easy. Like my friend Jimmy was like, "You gotta start nice and easy. You just can't go like hardcore, you know, like right away."
Bring them in gently, is what you're saying. Yeah.
And then he goes, "Yeah, just start nice and easy. You know, it's like foreplay. It's like making love. You just can't go straight to the Pornhub. You gotta go to the Cinemax first, and then go to the Pornhub."
You bring them in gently. You're like, yeah. First base, second base, yeah.
Yeah, just can't hit a home run like grand slam. You just can't. You gotta put some people on the base first.
You said you do tell a lot of dirty jokes. Like, it's a big part of your thing. Yeah,
it's so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I love being the good guy off stage, and I just love being the bad guy on stage.
Yeah,
it's just so much fun.
Yeah, and I think because of your gentle energy. Let's talk about you. Like right now, you are wearing. We don't have video. Yeah. You're wearing a biker's vest. You're kind of dressed like a biker. You kind of got that vibe going. Tell me about your patches that you have going here.
Oh, for sure. Like I made sure like I put my life story on the left side. So it's like my gun.
Can I take some pictures as you're talking? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like Hunter S. Thompson's like one of my biggest inspirations. Yep. So it's like I lived the life of another Hunter S. Thompson. Like I had an experience with the Hells Angels at the Whiskey A Go Go one time, and I got a ticket in Las Vegas. But I've never been to backcountry because I don't do drugs or anything. But and then I put like a picture of The Thief of Always, which is my favorite children's book by Clive. So that's Pinhead.
Okay,
but So he wrote both the Hellbound Heart, which is Hellraiser, and The Thief of Always. I put Hellbound across my heart, so it's like the Hellbound Heart for the book. And then I put Hellraiser because like Hellbound Hellraiser 2 is like one of my favorite movies that got me into horror. Because like Julia is like a skinless woman in there with a white like dress suit and like just blood's on it and everything. But like this just like we were talking about hell earlier, and it's just his picture of hell in that movie, and it's an amazing labyrinth of sorts.
Okay, let's go look over here. So you got all your musicians over here.
Yep. So you'll see like Marilyn Manson, Dead Kennedys, Puddle of Mud, Five Finger Death Punch, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and the Beatles, and like this is all connected. These three, which is Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, the Beatles. It's the time that I went to a West Hollywood bathhouse.
Okay.
And so like my buddy was like, I would always be his designated driver, and he had a lady, and he would buy her stuff, but she wouldn't put out. So that's like the easiest way to put it. And so he would get drunk and he would hit on me, and I'm like, all right, I'm tired of this stuff. So I'm trying to be nice, take him home, make sure he gets home safe. Right. And I was just tired of him hitting on me. And so it was LA Gay Pride weekend in West Hollywood, and so I'm like, all right, buddy, I'm gonna scare you. And so we go to a West Hollywood bathhouse, and so there was like holes in the walls and stuff. Yeah. And so this is like a whole 3-minute story of us going there, but it's just I made it look like I was there by myself. And so it gets really graphic and detailed. And so, but yeah, there's a song, Puddle of Mud, that I wrote a parody of when I was in college. And I was like, I didn't think it would have like its own legs. And so it's about the song She Hates Me, but it's a whole different song about loving yourself. That's like the nicest way I can put it.
Loving yourself. Not in the beautiful spiritual way that like, this is like loving yourself like the fun having.
And like the best part is like the Daytona comics, like they've heard me sing it so much. And like, that they memorize my lyrics, and so I feel like Axl Rose on stage. Like I put the microphone out and have them finish the lyrics, and they just sing along and they have their lighters up and everything. It's really a sight to see.
This is great. Can you send me a couple pictures of you doing your stand-up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that would be great. I would love to share that too. Okay, let's go back to like a couple of my questions here.
And the back is just a few people I've seen in concerts.
Okay, awesome, awesome. if there was one message you could send out to humanity, what would it be?
Be kind to yourself and to others, and love yourself.
Yeah.
Because your first love should be your self-love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take care of everything first before you can love somebody else.
Yeah. And how did you learn that?
RuPaul, Drag Race.
Oh my God, he's amazing, isn't he?
Yeah. It's like, you know, like, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else?
Exactly. Love yourself on all levels.
Yep.
Like,
Pretty much. Yep.
That's awesome. Thank you. How do you keep yourself sane in a crazy world? Because, like, you know, you're talking about this, you know, this duality of good and evil. How do you, you know, how do you keep yourself sane? How do you keep yourself happy? How do you keep smiling in all of this?
Journaling helped me a lot.
Yeah.
In the very beginning. Like, my first journal was given to me by Clive.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, he goes, you went to school for journalism, not note cards. Because I would always write on my note cards, and I'd, like, get them all out of order and can't read my handwriting. So I finished it, gave it to him, and it was like, it had like collective soul and ministry and tenacity and all that stuff, like from all these concerts.
Yeah.
And then he autographed it and gave it back. But then I developed a journalism style called tiger style journalism, which is like
is that your own style?
My own style.
Tiger style journalism. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like all about finding peace in chaos.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it involves English language with math, and you break it down to a science.
Okay.
And it's like 400 words to tell a story from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And so I pretty much paint a picture with words.
Yeah.
And that's how I kept on getting these concerts, because I just was like, I wasn't biased or nothing.
Right.
I just told it like it was. And
right.
Made you feel like you were at the show.
Yeah.
And the publicist loved it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't do it much anymore, but it's just about journalism, like, and that's what Clive made me do when I got out to him, was like, put it in a Word document, tell me everything that happened in your life, good or bad, and good and bad, and send it my way, like, you know, make sure you, like, and so 9 pages turned to 11, turned to 13, to 22 pages, and, you know, he would read all of them, you know, and so, because he wanted to see what it was like to have, like, a regular life again.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he reached, like, superstardom.
Yeah, yeah.
And here's a kid from Colorado that's just, like, living the regular life.
Right, right.
Yep.
So, okay, tell me a little bit, what was Clive getting out of your relationship, out of your friendship?
Oh, just someone that's, like, you know, has his, like, not his head in the clouds, just someone that's on, like, a ground level that can just, like, maneuver and blend in with, like, whether it's like death metal concerts, or a ska concert, or a hip hop show.
Yeah.
And that's what he taught me. Was like, don't pigeonhole yourself into a certain genre, or else people are going to think that you're part of that genre the whole time while you're out here.
Right.
And so I covered like Cannibal Corpse and like sometimes ministry, or like whoever, like Smashing Pumpkins. Just I was all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even the local bands, I was all over the place with them too.
Right.
And so that's what I was learned, just to journal, so that way you don't lose yourself in the craziness of the world.
Yeah.
But I don't really do it now, because like I take all my frustrations out on stage. It's like the perfect therapy. It really is.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that.
Because like you can just, you know, you can tell, like, I have a tough time like talking to, like, you know, paying someone for expensive therapy.
Right.
And so like, I really don't want to put my money into that, and so, like, you know, with someone that suffers, like, I had a lot of depression and anxiety, and I'm like, how do I tell the truth but embellish it? Because, like, I'm used to being it's kind of like stand-up comedy is just like journalism. Like, you get your truth out there eventually, and people have to decipher which one's the truth part and which one's the lies. And it's kind of like to tell the truth, like a game show.
Right.
Yeah. So. And then you can connect with the audience, and they can, like, you know, talk to you, and like, hey, I was there too, like, and so like people feel that, because like they go through the same thing. But if you can make it funny, it's like tragedy plus time equals comedy, or something like that. And so,
that's great.
So that's what I do, and like, you know, having my family, like, from, like, the Khmer Rouge stuff, and, like, I work them into my material, and, you know, my sister, and, like, my upbringing first, and, like, getting a job at the age of 9 at first. And, you know, I take them on a journey from beginning to end. So it's not all about, you know, dirty stuff. Like, you know, and I tried, like, my buddy Jimmy in Melbourne was like, you just gotta, like, you know, like I said, just ease in, like, let them get to know you before you go X-rated on them. Because it can get intense. So,
right.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that for you, the therapy is speaking your truth and connecting with the audience on, even though your story is obviously very unique. I mean, how many people have your story? Nobody. I mean, it's a very unique story. Yet somehow you tell that story and the audience resonates with it. And it's almost like you guys are creating, as you with the audience is creating this kind of energy, it sounds like. And it's a healing energy. And you're probably healing the audience as well.
Yep. Because I want people, like, you know, all the comics say, like, yeah, I just want you to put all your troubles away at the door, and I want you to laugh for, like, 30 minutes or 45 minutes or to an hour, and just forget about all your worries, and that's what I aim for.
Yeah.
And if I can make people just, like laugh on the floor, like, or just see my friends react to other people's faces and their reactions, it's just, like, and making the whole room laugh, and making the bartenders and the kitchen staff just, like, say, what the heck is going on out there, and just, like, laugh along with us. That's, like, my ultimate goal is to, like, and so sometimes I just, like, when I'm in, like, familiar places and all my buddies are there, and, like, especially when there's, like, only, like, one audience member or 4 audience members, like, let's have fun with this audience member, these 4 people, because, like, they're here to see us, and we're here till, like, midnight. And I usually close out the open mic at the Trinidad Irish pub, and it's, like, those are only 4 people. So I pick on my comedy friends, and I'm like, hey, which joke would you like for me to say? And they pick all my jokes. And I'm like, all right, so I say it, and they cheer me on, and they just wait. You just look at that audience to see what their reaction is, because they've never seen me before. So
it sounds like you're very casual with it. Yeah. Okay, tell me about, you mentioned anxiety and depression. This is something so common. I think, and it's more common now after COVID. I think it's something, you know, so many of us deal with. Tell me about that and how that manifests in you.
Indeed, like when, like, you know how Florida is shut down for 4 months and everybody else like 2 or 3 years. Well, like to get like, I was so used to hanging out with comics all the time and just like sharing our experiences off stage, that I had to find a way to do it, and thanks to StreamYard, the link that I shared with you, since we couldn't see anybody for like the longest time, or for 4 months for us, like I was like, I gotta interview comics like coast to coast, or else I'll go crazy.
You'll go crazy?
I needed like human interaction somehow, some way. And so I started interviewing comics from coast to coast, and what I started was like I interviewed my buddies that moved out from Florida to like other states. I'm like, all right, I'll interview you, we'll update your interview, and then what you gotta do is tag 5 comics that you wanted me to interview that are like, you know, on your level, not famous or nothing. Because it's easier that way. And they're like, all right, so they would, you know, mention that, like, they would nominate their 5 favorite comics in the scene. And I would reach out to them on Facebook.
Cool.
And I'm so glad that they checked out their inbox, because it was like kind of like that one person reaching out to me on MySpace all over again. And so I'm like, all right, I'll pay it forward. So now I know everyone, like, from, like, almost every state, because I started interviewing them. So that definitely helped out with the anxiety and depression. And I tried doing, like, the Zoom comedy shows, because they had those for a little while, and it was just not for me.
No, you need, because you need the energy, you need the feedback.
It was kind of like being at a concert all over again as a concert journalist. Like, that energy that's exchanged from the audience and the artist, and I'm in between, it was just so powerful and amazing. Like, there was no other feeling like it. I just missed it. Like, just to be, like, someone, like, the people that covered on stage, to actually be the person on stage now is just a really good feeling. I performed in front of one person who sold out shows before. Like, I almost sold out the Orlando Improv by myself. It was like...
Tell me again what it was called?
The Orlando Improv.
You almost sold it out yourself?
Yep.
How'd you do that?
Well, I got on the radio, 104.1 Real Radio. It's like my favorite radio channel, because like I'm just tired of like today's music.
Right.
It's just too much. But and I just started listening to talk radio. I'm like, I love all these programs on here, from like Tom and Dan to the News Junkie and everything. And so I got on the radio for Real Laughs, which is like the comedy show, they interviewed me, and we were only expecting 70 people because it was not promoted by the club.
Yeah.
And the headliner was like, hey, I only know 70 people. I just told 70 people about the show. I'm like, no worries. So I got on the radio, and it was like recorded on a Sunday. And it was like pre-recorded episodes. And then they would sprinkle them throughout the week.
Yeah.
And so I told him about my story about like how you're all asking me about, the whole Clive thing and the Wu-Tang thing and stand-up. And we were just expecting like 70 people. And all of a sudden, like, the time kept getting pushed backwards. We're like, what the heck's going on here? Why are we, like, we're starting at 8:30 instead of 8?
Yeah.
Now my time's going to get cut because the headliner needs more time.
Yeah.
And so he's like, there's a lot of people out there waiting for you. Like, how many people are waiting for me? Oh, there's an extra 210 people out there for So, like, out of the 300 seats, there was, like, 280 people that showed up. And just for me to do 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And, like, they lit me at 8 minutes because I forgot to tell them, like, I'm used to, like, having been lit, like, 1 minute before I get off stage.
Right.
And so, I ended up, the headliner was a mean jerk that I won't say his name, but he did really awful in AGT, and so karma got back to him. So thank goodness. Because he promised everyone money, but he didn't pay everybody money.
Yeah.
And he tried to take my cut, like half of my cut.
Yeah.
And half of the host's cut.
Yeah.
I'm like, and the godfather of Orlando comedy goes, you better fight for your pay, and he's going to be 86 from the club and everything. And I'm like, all right. So I made sure that he paid me my full $100 for my 10 minutes.
Good.
Yep.
So how do you deal with, something I'm learning in my life at the age of 50 is about boundaries and setting boundaries, because there are people, I mean, the truth is there, I believe we all have good and bad within each of us. We are, we all have the potential for both. How do you deal with people who push your boundaries, who, like this guy, who try to take advantage of you because you're a nice guy? I bet, how do you take care of that so you're not walked all over?
I give him a reason for me to dislike them.
Yeah.
Like
say that again?
To dislike them.
To dislike them.
Like, I give them you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah.
Like I've cut ties with like 20-year friendships.
Yeah.
And person I thought I was like my best friend.
Yeah.
Just got caught him in a lie, and I'm like, I'm not gonna deal with this. You knew that what you were doing was wrong.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just try to give people the benefit of the doubt for a long, just once.
Yeah.
And then, shame on me, shame on you kind deal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I just keep it moving.
Yeah.
And it's like, you were part of my journey for a little bit.
Right.
Some people are there for a season, and some are there for a reason.
Right.
And
exactly.
so, it just sucks that it has to be that way.
Yeah.
But you can't take your A1s from day ones. You can only take a 1 or 2. And as I get older, I realize that you can't be friends with everyone, and not everyone wants to be friends with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you can escape life with just 1 or 2 friends, then you're good.
Yeah.
You can be like the Golden Girls, and they lived with 5 people. They didn't need.
Be like the Golden Girls, is that what you
You don't need you can have the studio audience, but they're not your real friends. They're just there to laugh. You just need a Sophia and a Rose and a Blanche and all that stuff in your life.
That's right.
Yeah. And then you're good.
Then you're good.
Yep.
Okay, let's go really deep. What is death? What is birth? What is death? What do you think about that stuff?
Half my family is Buddhist, and half my family is Christian. And I'm I don't have, I take a little bit of everything from different religions and make it into one.
Right.
My mom taught me at an early age that when you die, you get reincarnated. And you shouldn't be a donor, because if you become a donor and you donate your liver, your lungs, or your heart, or whatever, you won't get that in your next life.
Right.
So I'm all right, I won't be a donator or a donor, so I'm going to just hang on to everything. But so that's what I think about. It's kind of like the butterfly effect, the movies. You die and then you get reborn again, depending on the ending that you watch.
Right.
There's an alternate ending, too.
Yeah.
So I'm all right, I guess that works for me. So whatever happens in life, I'm just going to hang on to all my organs. And if I come back, I told my dad I don't want to have any kids, because I like settle down. Well, maybe I'll settle down in Colorado, but no kids. I'm getting up in age. I don't look like I'm my age.
How old are you?
I'm 39.
Okay.
Yep. Asians don't raise them, they say.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel like my sister has 2 kids. You know, I'm not the best uncle in the world because I don't really I call them on their birthdays and that's good enough for me.
Right.
But I just don't see myself having kids, and like I just love being able to go places without being tied down.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And like just pick up and move because like trying to relocate an entire family is rough.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, I just told him I'm not going to have any kids. So, like, my name in the movie, so our name can live on forever, is good enough for me. Like, I just told him that.
So what movie?
It's called Nightbreed, the director's cut. So it's a Clive Barker movie, which came from the book Cabal, and it's about the monsters are the good guys and the humans are the bad guys. And David Cronenberg plays like the main bad guy. And so his recent movie was Crimes of the Future that just came out, and it was a pretty trippy movie. I'm not gonna lie.
But your name's in the credits?
Yep, right underneath Quentin Tarantino's movie theater. So.
Nice.
Yep. So it's a really great movie. It's like my second favorite horror movie, or favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling you're leaving a legacy. You know, I have a feeling you're more than you even realize.
I hope so. I mean, I kind of want to create like opportunities for people that don't have the power to do so.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that's like the superhero that that I was when I met the Wu-Tang Clan and stuff. And just like creating the festivals, because everyone, it's hard to get into comedy festivals. It's like a political game, and that's what I learned in the very beginning.
Yeah.
It's like it's just you just throw your money in the well, and you don't really get a selected few. If you play your cards right, get to be selected. But I just decided to I didn't expect a festival to be in my name in Colorado and Daytona, because I just wanted to wrote with my heart and soul with these articles. And interviewed comics with a podcast like you're doing now. And I just said, hey, I'm moving to Florida. I just want 3 comics, 3 bands, tag 1 member of each band. And they said, we all went in on this, And so I can't afford to pay for everyone. It's like, you did enough. You gave us press on a national platform.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right. So I booked the whole festival, and so one night turned into a 3-night event. And so the one in Colorado is going on 9 years, and I'm going back to Colorado in July to put that on for my buddies. It's more music heavy than comedy. And then I couldn't afford to bring my friends from Florida and fly them out to Colorado, so I started the one at the Tiernog Irish Pub, and it's more comedy heavy now over there in October.
Okay, so I think we need to back up. So Sareth Fest is an event. You have it in 2 places. You have it in Colorado and here in Daytona.
Yep.
Okay. And so you founded it, or is someone named it after you?
Oh, it started off as a film festival at Clive's place.
Okay.
Yep. He goes in the beginning of my internship, he was like, all right, so I think you can do anything you want here. Just be respectful and communicate. You can take pictures of cabbages if you want. Just have fun here. And as soon as I walked into the doors, I was always inspired to do something.
Yeah.
And so one day, John Carpenter had his showing of Big Trouble in Little China. And it's like one of my favorite movies growing up, with Kurt Russell and stuff. And so I went there, and he had his showing at the Egyptian Theater, and then he had a Q&A afterwards. And I'm like, cool, I want to do that too with all my short films that I made. They're horrible short films. They're like Ed Wood type, shoestring budget Roger Corman stuff.
Right.
It's like, and I learned at an early age that just make movies that you can afford to make. And at the time, it was only $25 was my budget. So it's a really bad movie that won an award for some weird reason. And then I said, all right, we'll show my movies at the office, at the screening room.
At Clive Barker's office.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the screening room was pretty awesome because I remembered seeing a 2-way mirror there, and I was watching Candyman at one point, and they would be on the other side of the mirror and tapping on the glass as if Candyman was on the other side playing shit. So those guys, I tell you.
Oh, so they have a 2-way mirror so they can watch the audience reaction. Oh, that's so freaking cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Indeed. So it was there for a while, and but I showed my movie. I made a big deal on social media. They're like, "Hey, you're not supposed to do that," because we're supposed to keep it between us.
Right.
No press, no red carpet, no nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I feel bad now. But then we just ended up watching my movie, and I had a Q&A just like John Carpenter did.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about John Carpenter and that screening was like I ran up to him and I had my Laserdisc from my Amoeba. It's a really cool record store in LA, and he just autographed it with the guy that played Rain too. And so we had a Q&A after my movies, my short films, and then I just focused on concert journalism after that. It was like 2010, and then I learned to like discover my voice in journalism as I did in stand-up. And then I just pretty much, I moved back to Colorado. The whole thing happened, the whole journalism with the local bands. I was just tired of driving up to Denver and writing about the big bands. I was just over it. And then I just focused my attention on my hometown. And then, that's how the whole festival was born. I didn't know what to name it again, because it was named by another employee, by Clive. Clive's Place. And then I thought the name was dead. And then my friend Jeremiah from he's in 2 bands and he does sound tech for other big bands. He goes, it's called Sereth Fest. I'm like, all right, cool. So it just turned into Sereth Fest all over again.
Have you ever had a feeling or experience that there is something beyond this plane of existence? What do you believe it was? What do you ever get that feeling?
Yep.
And is it something that's all the time, or tell me about it?
Oh, once in a blue moon, I have a sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah.
And
do you think it's a real demon?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I tell my parents about it and they don't believe me. And
I should be laughing.
You're totally fine. I use it in my material too on stage. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're so gross on stage with your sleep paralysis demons. I can't say it on here because it's just too graphic.
Okay. They'll have to go see your show, right?
Yep. Because I want to make, it's part of my, I think it all started when I was in Cambodia, and this guy was doing hard labor, and I got in his way, and he got angry, and I was just a kid, I was 9 years old, so I didn't really know of my surroundings,
right?
And so he must have cursed me or something, but and then I would always get something pressuring me, and when I'm sleeping I can't breathe, I can't move or nothing.
Pressuring,
Yep.
Yeah.
So that would always happen to me, when I take a nap in the daytime and then I go sleep again. I don't know, and then I was just and it always it would be sometimes when I'm already asleep and it'll happen. And I'm already inside of a dream. And it'll take me to another dream. And where I meet the bad guy. It's kind of playing those horror video games. It's oh geez, it's another zombie or another whatever. It's the old Friday the 13th. Jason appears out of nowhere. And it's the weirdest dreams, like Inception. It's
And so you think it's kind of there's a reality to it.
Yeah, indeed.
But it doesn't seem to affect you. You're not scared. You don't seem like a very fearful person.
Well, I try not to be. I try to have fun with the sleep paralysis demon. Does
it have a name?
Not really. Well, it just I remember one time, a couple times, when I was in Cambodia at my uncle's place, it was so much pressure that I could taste my own blood.
It was, oh my gosh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that was one instance, and then there was another time I was Clive would tell me, hey, you always you always leave the concerts late at night. You can stay here. Here's the keys to the studio. Just crash on the couch or wherever there's a spare bed. Futon, whatever. It'll just be you in the house, nobody else. And that house was built in the 50s or something. It was once owned by some famous people. I don't know. But there was some deaths in there, I guess. People died because of old age. And I was sleeping there, and I hear footsteps. And I'm well, there's nobody here. And there's it's a brick floors, and so you can, and it's echoey, and you can hear the acoustics. And I'm and then so the next day I'm hey Clive, is this place haunted? He goes, yeah, why do you ask? And so it's his book Cold Heart Canyon all over again, and with all the spirits and stuff. It's a Hollywood ghost story.
So in Buddhism, I know Chinese, I don't know Cambodian, but I know in Buddhism, ghosts are part of life. I mean, So did you grow up with the belief in ghosts? Was that a common thing for you?
It just started happening until Cambodia happened. I knew there was horror movies like from the get-go because of like Clive and stuff,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Handyman and stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was like real because I didn't watch like The Entity or
Right.
like Poltergeist or anything. Like,
Right.
well, I can't remember that I did watch Poltergeist before the trip to Cambodia or after. But it was just like, I never expected it to happen to me. It's
Right,
like
right,
having,
right. Yeah.
I thought Casper was supposed to be friendly, but he's like pitting me like he's a pro wrestler or something. So it's like, it's good times, but yeah, like every once in a while, like, it bothers me, but I learned to live with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had a sleep paralysis demon?
Oh yeah, I used to have them when I was a kid all the time, where you literally, like, you're conscious, you're thinking, but you can't move. Oh, I had them. Yeah. A number of times, but actually it taught me a lot, because what I learned is that you can, like, you calm yourself when you're in it. Like, you're like, this is just sleep paralysis and it's just a dream. Now, I never met any entities while I was in that, thank God. I don't think I would have enjoyed that very much, but more it would just be like, I can't move, and but yeah, I taught myself how to be calm throughout it, and then you just go back to sleep and it's nothing, Yeah.
Like, I remember like having the sleep paralysis with the lights on.
Yeah.
And like I would see like a black smoke above my bed circling.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while it would whisper in my ear or something. And I was like, good Lord, will you just leave me alone? But then now now I learned how to tell it in a funny way, and so like now that he's the sleep paralysis demon, whether it's a girl or a guy or whatever it is, it's like part of my material. It just doesn't come around anymore.
So you're telling me that you like have this, you meet this demon in your sleep, you believe it's real, it's not just a dream, and then you're like, hey dude, thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, because you're going to be material for my comedy.
Yep.
And because people make big deals about demons. They're like, oh my gosh, and they're scared of evil and all this stuff. And here you're like a master warrior. You like meet it and you're like, thanks, a little more comedy, right?
Yeah. And then I'll just like put it on YouTube and have that demon watch it. So why not? It's like, you mess with me in my sleep, I'll mess with you while you're awake. It's like the Freddy Krueger effect,
Yeah.
It's like, why not?
So is that part of, and this is going to be my last question because we got to sum up, but so is that kind of the root of horror? It's almost like a way of taming the demons? It's like, we're going to take you and make you into, we're going to capture you and make you into story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, that's what like when A Nightmare on Elm Street was like, it was a real thing.
Yeah.
With like Southeast Asian, it's pretty much like my story. Pretty much like a Southeast Asian kid that couldn't sleep, and so like it was like the backstory is nuts. And I'm like a Southeast Asian kid that couldn't sleep either, and I'm like, oh, I could relate to Wes Craven's story.
Yeah.
And then like with the whole Mr. Be Gone was the book about the demon that possesses the book while you're reading it. Oh, I could relate to that one too. It's like, and so you just gotta like learn, like you create your own demons.
Right.
Like I think Iron Man said it, whether it's your bills or like your personal issues, or if you haven't really faced your demons, you need to face them head on. So that way that you can just face them head on, tackle them. It's like you own this thing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I learned something new about you. Like, I have this newfound like reference for you. You're a Demon Tamer. That's going to be your title for this. Is Demon Tamer.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for this. Let's get a couple pictures.
Okay.
And I'll post it, and you can share it. And so how can people find you?
Oh, definitely go to my website, aqdpi.com.
AQEPI.
Oh, DPI.
DPI. AQDPI.com.
Yep. And if you say it fast, it's acuitypie.com.
Oh, cute! All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Becky. Thanks for having me as your guest.
Thank you.